From 1962 to 1963, the head of state of Uganda under the Constitution of 1962 was the Queen of Uganda, Queen Elizabeth II, who was also the Queen of the United Kingdom. The Queen was represented in Uganda by a Governor General. Uganda became a republic within the Commonwealth under a 1963 constitutional amendment. The monarch and Governor General were replaced by a ceremonial president, which was replaced by an executive presidency in 1966. Over the years, Uganda has been ruled by leaders of all ages. However, today we bring you the youngest president ever in the history of this great nation, President Sir Edward Muteesa II. Edward Muteesa was the first post-independence president of Uganda. Muteesa was born at the house of Sir Albert Cook in Machindi, Kampala on 19 November 1924, the fifth son of Sir Daudi Chwa II, Kabaka of Buganda, who reigned between 1897 and 1939. His mother was Lady Irene Drusilla Namaganda. Muteesa II was crowned as Kabaka at Buddo on 19th of November 1942 on his 18th birthday.
The Protectorate is under direct administration by Great Britain, although the actual government is mainly left to the King and his ministers.
At that time, Buganda was still part of the Uganda Protectorate, a territory within the British Empire. The years between 1945 and 1950 saw widespread protests against both the Governor of Uganda and Kabaka Muteesa's governments. On 19th November 1948 at St. Paul's Cathedral, Namirembe, Muteesa married Lady Damari Catherine Nakawombe, the Nabagereka, daughter of Christopher Chisosonkole of the Nkima clan.
And now the service itself, uniting the royal bridegroom and the bride of his choice. Ceremonial drums were sounding a greeting as the wedding procession left for the palace.
In the early 1950s, the British government floated the idea of uniting British East Africa, Uganda, Kenya, and Tanganyika into a federation. Africans feared that this would lead to their coming under the control of Kenya's white settler community, as had happened in the Federation of Rhodesia and Nyasaland. Muteesa himself opposed the proposal and thus came into conflict with the British governor, Sir Andrew Cohen, prompting the Kabaka crisis. In 1953, the Lukiiko of Buganda sought independence from Uganda Protectorate. Governor Cohen's response was to depose and exile the Kabaka on 30th November, creating massive protests among the Baganda. Muteesa's first departure made him a martyr in the eyes of the Baganda, who set off a storm of protests. Cohen could find no one among the Baganda willing and able to mobilize support for his schemes. After 2 years of unrelenting Ganda hostility and obstruction, Cohen was forced to reinstate Kabaka Muteesa, who returned to Kampala on 17 October 1955 under a negotiated settlement which made him a constitutional monarch and gave the Baganda the right to elect representatives to the kingdom's parliament, the Lukiiko. Muteesa's standing up to Cohen greatly boosted his popularity in the kingdom. In 1962, Uganda became independent from Britain under the leadership of Milton Obote.
Gold and red flag of the new young state. Uganda is born again, free and independent.
Under the country's new constitution, the Kingdom of Buganda became a semi-autonomous part of the new Ugandan Federation. Obote became the Prime Minister, while Muteesa became the first ever President of the Republic of Uganda at the age of 38.
A new country, a new member of the Commonwealth, a new member of the growing community of African peoples. Britain has come a long way with you and wishes you well.
The Buganda Regional Parliament passed a resolution in May 1966 declaring that Uganda's incorporation into Uganda had ended with the suspension of the constitution and requesting the federal government to vacate the capital city, which was in Buganda. Obote responded with an armed attack upon the king's palace, which led to Muteesa fleeing to the UK.
Mr. President, have you any news of the whereabouts of the Kabaka?
That question, I understand, has been asked already in the press and elsewhere, but I do not know why you should ask me that question now. But the most interesting thing is that the pressmen seem to think that the Kabaka has done nothing wrong. That it's only the government that has done wrong things. The Kabaka requested foreign troops in February without authority. The Kabaka organized a rebellion. And these are not noticed. But no problem, we'll always weather through.
A year later, a new constitution that abolished traditional rulers in Uganda was promulgated. Muteesa died of suspected alcohol poisoning in his London flat in 1969. Identified by the British police as suicide, the death has been viewed as assassination by agents of the Obote's regime. Muteesa's body was returned to Uganda in 1971 after the overthrow of Obote and given a state funeral at Kasubi, Nabulagala.
Wajika Muteesa mubiziwa ebyebinsanira ani yaziikwanga Muteesa kunsi byonna gyekoma okuziika Muteesa mu bizibu ebyo byonna ebiddubu watwagaana obwo bwererejja n'ebigambo ebyetege yajjula ekitiibwa mu bulamu ne mu kufa Muteesa omwagalwa omutabaazi Lukube yamanyibwa amawanga gonna bwe gaakoma yali wa Buganda wa Uganda wansi yonna wamu Kabaka omuzira nnamize Muteesa ekitiibwa bwe byajjula weebale kumuzza Muteesa ne tumuziika weebale kumuzza Muteesa ne tumuziika